the mushroom trade quest at the witch's hut.
Well, it looks like our racers are ready to go. We should be starting any time now.
And somehow blue boomerang for go mode.
Already we have a route divergence with Oyster starting out in Link's house and Zaphod Beeblebrox starting out in Sanctuary and finding the lamp right away.
That's a really nice find. That's going to help pretty much throughout the entire run with all the dark rooms.
Yeah, dark rooms are not the easiest thing to do. It looks like he's also setting up for a Houlihan room. Oh, that's some spice. I don't know how necessary it is in this current version, but it's definitely useful. Oyster got some nice bomb drops out of those bushes down there. I believe they have a 50% chance to drop a bomb, and he managed to get 4.
Bombs are, of course, very important in Randomizer, as there are many places throughout, especially the early game, especially Kakariko itself, where you're going to need bombs.
I think in general, assuming you find a sword or a hammer early, throughout the game you'll probably need between 10 and 15 bombs for assorted bomb jumps and breaking walls.
Yeah, I would reckon early on, at the very start, within the first 15 minutes, probably 10 minutes, you're going to need 6 of them, roughly. And then the rest of the game, you're going to get bombs from chests all over the place.
Yeah, pretty much. Usually it's not uncommon if you make it to Kakariko without any bombs, you have to buy them. So it's always good to find them early.
What we also kind of want to see early is some big rupee prizes. We got some nice 20 in the back of the bar that we're going to need quite a bit more to... we got to pay this bottle merchant off, and we got to do Zora, well, potentially later on. Everyone checks Zora. Too many places around there. Ooh.
Not everyone checks Zora. Sometimes you just hope there's nothing there because it's kind of out of the way to go get to.
We do have the gloves, which does put Zora into the logic here. Gloves being the uncle.
It's very interesting that Zaphod is delaying going to Kakariko.
It could well be because of his bomb situation.
Oh, and the hammer. This is paying off big. Getting the hammer that early means he has a weapon that does a lot of damage. That'll one-shot almost everything in the light world.
And very handy against Moldorm as well if they go up there pretty early. That's a pretty common place to find yourself.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go and check the Lost Woods and then head down to Kakariko now, however. Checking the tree pool. Well, 5 rupees per tree isn't too bad. Oyster running out of bombs, so he goes to buy some more. My guess is he's probably going to go save and quit here, back to Link's house, and then go do Southern Light World. It's interesting that I don't think he went and checked the Lost Woods when he was up there, though. Maybe he's going there now.
Yeah, it's not so bad to buy some bombs after you've already bombed everything in Kakariko. It always... the players having to basically go out of their way to buy bombs before they go back and do anything in Kakariko.
Yeah, I'd definitely rather buy the bombs while I'm in Kakariko instead of having to go out of my way to get them, though. Yeah, it looks like Oyster realized that he forgot to check the Lost Woods and the Lumberjack, so he's going to go do that now. Following in Zaphod's footsteps here. I believe I saw a Bombos medallion in the Lost Woods as well.
Yeah. It was indeed. And some more bombs.
Bombs and bombos.
Delicious. Going with our food theme for the match.
Gotta have some theme. Everything has a theme.
That bush crab giving out 5 rupees like candy, that's gonna make rupee farming really easy. He may not even, he probably won't be doing the Houlihan room at all.
No, I've found out in the most recent version that Houlihan Room really isn't worth it, because when they added the waterfall fairy back into the routing, they added another 300 rupee into the pool, I believe.
Ooh.
So it's real easy to find enough money for Zora.
I don't know about you, but I've never really been a big fan of seeing people farm for rupees myself.
Yes, that farming for rupees is never fun, but sometimes it's a thing you have to do. If you don't like,
Mm-hmm.
I am not very good at setting up the Houlihan. It's like partly because I never felt the need for it after I just learned about it recently. But it's definitely, I should probably learn it, because it's definitely a useful start to your game. It appears to be paying off pretty well for Zaphod here. I think he has a pretty decent lead, having the early hammer and the gloves.
And they can certainly do they can totally go up to Death Mountain right now if they wish. And they could,
Yeah.
Well, without the mirror, I guess they can't go up to Hera and get to Eastern Death Mountain yet. Maybe that's what they're holding off on.
But at the very least, going up there and rescuing the old man, getting that spawn point is great. We got Oyster going in here and using some bomb strats on the Moldorms, because he doesn't have any other weapons. It's definitely not the easiest thing to do to hit these little Moldorms, because they move very erratically. That was pretty good. I think it was 4 bombs for 4 Moldorms. That's a pretty solid hit.
Even if he had hammer, I wouldn't want to do that with a hammer. It's a big problem with the hammer's hitbox, trying to fight things vertically.
It looks like we have our first piece required for the Dark World access, or our final piece.
Ooh.
Like once Zaphod gets it, because the Moon Pearl, he already has the other 2 pieces necessary. It does not look like we're going to need to go kill Aghanim today. Oyster setting up for the fake flipper up into the Zora's domain. Check the waterfall. And he is just short on having enough rupees to actually check Zora. That is very unfortunate. But he is going to make his way over. No, go ahead.
Maybe not for long. He'll very likely to find rupees either in the well, I guess they couldn't get it on Zora's ledge, but in the cave just outside Zora.
Oh, getting this fake flipper off of the hobo is very difficult.
It's something I noticed that a lot of people just don't bother practicing. There is a risk of soft locking if you transition the screen before falling in the water, but I've been told that it's pretty unlikely. You got to be pretty high up on that ledge for it to happen.
And he got it eventually. I think it was 4th try. Like, that is something that I've never tried to do. Usually if I fake flipper up to hobo, I just go to hobo and then just save and quit back and rearm the fake flipper from somewhere else.
It's always tricky to know where exactly you're going to fall when you go off a diagonal ledge. I don't know why. Sometimes it seems like it drops you further horizontally for some reason.
So, in general, I'm not sure how I feel about sequence breaks in this logic, because the game does not think that he can find these 2 items. Turns out there was nothing there, but if he found a progression item, he definitely would have had to keep that in mind when he figured out what all that led to.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely something you got to be aware of when you're starting out with Randomizer. And if you wind up needing flippers, well, you better remember what fake flippering got you. You could really narrow down the places to check.
He got a couple of very lucky drops off of those crabs there. He got a red rupee and a blue rupee to give him just enough money to pay for Zora.
Yeah, I do like the play of going up there if you're that close, but that was scary for sure. You don't want to have to go back and do the fake flipper again, or even if you have real flippers, it's still such a big detour to come here.
We got Zaphod doing the exact same thing, also heading up to the hobo. Be interested to see if he's saving quits or fake flippers back out of there. Looks like Oyster's gonna go check out, see what Sarsaparilla has sitting over there in his hut.
Good old Sandysaurus is definitely worth checking this out early on, even before Death Mountain, because a lot of times you could find some very valuable items here, like hookshot or mirror, are two good examples.
I was kind of surprised not to see a map check from either of these players yet, to check to see what Eastern Palace is. Because Eastern Palace is a pendant, I honestly would consider going in there very early just to get the items, because you probably don't need to go back.
Yeah, that's a good point. Especially in this logic, I get the impression, like everyone says, there's progression in pendant dungeons in this logic. You're gonna get between 2 and 6 progression items in pendant dungeon these days.
It's not necessarily just pendant dungeons, just dungeons in general. The earlier you can go going into dungeons, the better, I think. And he is making that play. And see what he finds in here. I hope it's something good. Ooh, the flippers. So anything he would have found behind the flippers is now unbroke.
I did see a match recently where one of the players was so frustrated because he did a sequence break, and it was a fake flipper that led to, oh gosh, what was it? I think it was a trade sequence item that led to gloves that led to hammer, and he was just wondering where are those flippers that he needed for go mode.
Oh, and that is the worst.
It was like 4 items down the chain, and he just completely forgot that. I think it finally led to hookshot that got him. Oh no, it was hookshot that got him Quake out of Shock Cave that got him into Turtle Rock.
Oof.
And he was looking for flippers in Turtle Rock, but they couldn't be there.
Well, while we were talking about fetch quest items, Oyster goes and finds himself the bow in Eastern Palace. That is a very big find. It's almost vanilla. It wasn't quite in the big chest. But that has been the item that has been trolling a lot of racers in this tournament. I have watched 3 races that have come just in the past couple of days that come down to where is the bow? And it's almost always deep in Turtle Rock. So it's very nice to see it come out this early. It's also very convenient. Wait, a run that put the bow in Ganon's tower? I don't think I've ever seen that.
Definitely possible. Barely possible. Requires Pendant, Eastern, Pod, and that might be it. Is there anything else?
I believe it's just Eastern and Pod. And there has to be literally no progression in Pod because a lot of that dungeon can be bow locked. Zaf has gotten his bow now. Like, a nice thing about finding the bow in here is that you can complete the dungeon. You're here, you can just knock it off, cross it off your to-do list.
Mm-hmm.
And if I know my music, I believe that is a pendant sound. Or no, that is a crystal sound.
Apologies if there was no game audio right now. It's there was quite a bit of setup going on right before this. Hopefully they'll get situated, they'll get settled pretty soon. And that'll also help us determine whether or not this is Pendant Dungeon or not. And did you see whether or not they got the 3rd item in Eastern?
I do not believe they have gotten the 3rd item in Eastern.
So Pendant or Crystal, I'm sure they're gonna want to make sure they finish it. Get that 3rd item.
Definitely.
Yeah, they have both the map and the compass, so yeah. They do have an item on Armos.
I've never seen that set up for an Armos quick kill. That seems a lot simpler than the one that I use.
A couple ways to do it. Ultimately, your goal is to you'll probably want to kill one of them since you just can, but you also want to get 2 arrows into the one you're gonna kill last. That way, if it happens to get in the way of the other one, you just you kill them both like right away. Because once it gets down to 1 Armos, it'll take a brief moment to register. I guess it's during the animation of the Armos dying, maybe. But there's a brief moment where you can hit the last remaining Armos before it turns red, and once it turns red, it refills its health. So killing it before that saves time and arrows.
Well, it looks like Oyster is making the play to go check Agina's cave because he can't actually get into desert without the book.
That's right.
He must be running out of locations that he can get to with this equipment. Yeah, he doesn't have the gloves, so he can't. He hasn't found those yet, so that locks him out of a lot of places.
And that glove was in Escape, which a lot of players in open mode forget about. They're dangerous. And it's a lot of items.
Oh, Zaffa didn't realize that you can't use the medallions without a sword. He tried to use Bombo strats to kill those popos.
Huh. Nice try.
Like, that is not a thing that comes up very often in the vanilla game. And it definitely doesn't come up outside of... Yeah, swordless Popo rune is not a problem, usually, that you have. Especially if you have a medallion.
Well, he's got the hammer sword. He's fine.
Oh, and he just barely misses the quick kill. He gets poked by that Armos Knight. Oyster goes back and bombs the uncle, saying, "Why did you give me this trash?" Looks like he is about to head to the backside of Escape and acquire his hammer as well. And that, I believe, should put our runners at the exact same location. They have both checked the exact same stuff, except for Oyster has checked Aegina's cave as well.
And that's a tough place to route in as well. Something that Zaphod wouldn't be checking for a while. It's too bad for Oyster. It wasn't anything particularly handy.
I could just imagine if the boots were there, like that would be such a huge advantage to Oyster.
Yeah, it would.
Like Zaphod just gonna clear through the Escape with this hammer, just one shot everything he walks past. A hammer is a much more efficient weapon than a sword anyway, right?
Yeah, although it's more like walking or killing everything he walks very, very closely.
Yeah, the range isn't the greatest, especially going up or down. The hitbox on the hammer is less than ideal. Going left and right, it isn't so bad.
Yeah, you just gotta make sure you're kind of above the sprite when you're hammering left or right, because it does come out at the bottom of your sprite.
And we have our first fetch quest. In Escape, he found the powder. Looks like Oyster is about to go check his dark world. Looks like he's gonna go straight up into Skullwoods and see if he can get the 2 items from there. Like, this is a very scary place to be right now, without a sword, with green mail, and only 8 heart pieces. Zaph looks like he's going to take a Death Warp back up to the front. I have seen this backfire because people do not realize they have a fairy in a bottle. Like, I saw it happen earlier in a race. It's a sad thing to watch, but it happens to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of a fairy in a bottle, that is exactly what Oyster just found as one of the items in Skullwoods.
Well, Zaphod takes his Death Warp to the beginning of the castle.
Oyster found the second item here. It was just a piece of heart. So, I mean, I guess the bottle does open up the sick kid possibility. He could have something there. But other than that, it was not the greatest location to check. Not much there. If we can get some hype in chat, looks like Zaphod is going to go check the hype cave, or recently it's been very mediocre. Not much hype going on out of there. But still, there are 5 item locations in here, and he's hoping to find something good. I always think it's interesting when the runners go on different routes like this. Zaphod now has 2 of the fetch quest items, finding the shovel in there. Oh, he's going on a wild goose chase.
Oh boy. Will these geeses lay them a golden egg this time, or?
I sure hope so for his sake, because they are always out of the way. Oh, we do have a map check in Dark World. We have 3 pendant dungeons in the Dark World: Turtle Rock, Skull Woods, and Swamp Palace. That is good news for our runners. Like, will make this a much faster seed in general, just because the Light World dungeons are much quicker to complete.
And was T-Rock the green one?
Yep, T-Rock was the green pendant. I didn't catch which crystals.
5 is Meyer.
The 5 is Meyer?
And 6 has got to be Light World somewhere.
Oyster is making the play that I would have made if I was in this area, jumping into Thieves Town. Like, this is a dungeon that he can complete with the current equipment, although it is very scary.
Lots of damage from enemies in here, especially what we refer to as the Hellway, has a lot of Patrick starfishes roaming around, and along a conveyor belt and spikes on the side. It is dangerous.
And it is never fun doing blind with a hammer. Like, the hammer does a lot of damage to these horsehead enemies. It'll kill them in one hit. That is useful, but blind is not fun doing with a hammer. It's not as hard as doing it with a cane, but it's still not easy.
Well, I suppose the cane could also work as a projectile. That might make it debatably safer.
Oh, he gets a nice mail upgrade here, so that will make this much easier. The blue mail, like, reducing the damage he's taking. Meanwhile, we have Zaf dipping into the Palace of Darkness. With the bow and the lantern, and the hammer. This is another completable dungeon, but I do not envy the task of doing this without a sword.
And once again, full clearable, also a crystal.
I definitely like the moves by both of these players, prioritizing the crystal dungeons.
Although he doesn't have a mirror, I just realized, so this may take a while. It's kind of a good thing that he came in with such low health.
Yeah, he can take a lot of death warps to get around. Because having to walk back to the back around pod without the mirror it's a long and grueling walk.
Just hope he doesn't die before he gets to the past the mimic
hallway
area.
Yeah, the hallway at the end there.
Yeah, the conveyor hallway.
Doing this right here goes to show that just because it's the secondary tournament does not mean the skill level of the players is any lower than it is in the main tournament. Like, this is some advanced play strategies right here, going into these dungeons with this low of an equipment. Like, I'm not sure how comfortable I would be going into Thieves Town with that level of equipment.
Although, yeah, I guess they found blue mail inside Thieves Town, so that is definitely
that was a very lucky find. I don't recall ever seeing Blind in a purple dress before.
Interesting. I've noticed the NPCs tend to vary their color palette based on the sprite you use.
Oh, I suppose I always use the same sprite. Oh, he found the mirror in pod. That will make this much faster. And that is a very useful thing to find as well.
Oh, this is kind of worrying. If Oyster is thinking of putting this off until he gets mirror, so he could go back, use that as his shortcut. Can keep him. It can hold him back quite a bit.
Looks like Oyster is making his way into the blind fight with just the hammer. This is his only way of damaging. It's going very smoothly so far.
He does have a fairy in the bottle, so that's nice. I wonder if he would have done the fight anyway if he didn't.
Well, I'm sure he would have given at least one shot. Oh, and here comes that fairy coming to good use.
Mm-hmm. When you practice blind a lot, you can get to know basically how the fight is pretty much scripted when you first come into the room. But if you get off script or if you die or anything, it can get wildly unpredictable.
Yeah, and the script is much harder to follow with the hammer.
There's a bit of a delay when the hammer comes down as well, so if you're trying to hit it as it's moving towards you, it's very difficult. If you're trying to hit it moving away from you, it's almost impossible. But he gets through it.
Looks like he is making his way down to the southern Dark World locations, the digging game. And so how many digs do you think he's going to have to make before he finds the item in the game?
Between 1 and 30? I'm gonna go with 18.
See, I always go with 1. I like to see it go to 1. Well, so much for that idea.
Where will it be?
Ooh, 17 is the boots. You were very close on your guess.
Nice.
But like that is definitely the item you want to see as early as possible, especially in an out-of-the-way location like that. Because there's a chance
it came a little bit earlier than I.
There's a chance that you found it and your opponent hasn't found it yet, which puts you at a huge advantage.
It would come faster than I expected. It is the boots.
Well, I set myself up for that one, didn't I?
Yeah, you pretty much walked right into it.
Well, we have Oyster working his way around to the Hype Cave. Zaf is going straight through on his way to Helmasaur. Let's see how he handles Helmasaur without having a sword to buffer his hammer.
Yeah. Well, you could increase the range of your hammer, actually, by holding your hand out without the sword. But you don't get the safety of bouncing off of his mask with the sword out.
Yeah, so it is much less useful. Well, it looks like Oyster is making his way into the Palace of Darkness, realizing that you cannot hammer dash through pegs when you do not have a sword, which doesn't make much sense to me, but that's the way the game works. Considering that hammer dash was not a thing that was in the game I played as a kid, I guess that's fine.
And you'll notice when they bonk off it, it shows the sword sprite anyway. That was odd.
Ooh, Zaf taking a death to Helmasaur there, and he does not have a fairy in a bottle yet. That was found, I believe that was found inside of Thieves' Town. But he's definitely a trooper, and he's going right back in there to show him what for.
That is rough. This is a... It's not quite the furthest away from a boss you could be, but like, it's not as bad as my death.
So when it comes to bosses, which is the boss that you think is the worst one to die to?
Aghanim 2.
Hey,
Outside of
that is definitely the correct answer. Everybody always says, "Oh, it's Helmasaur or it's Vitreous." No, having to reclimb Ganon's tower after already having done it you're like so close, and then so far.
One as well, but yeah, Aga 2 is like 6 minutes lost.
And we found, like, the catfish was hiding a book. That is a very soggy book.
You gotta use a blow dryer on that, make sure the ink doesn't run off. Pages don't rip out.
Like, it'd be interesting to see if he does still continue on to Pod. It looks like he is. I would have been sorely tempted to go to Desert now after having found that book.
It also gives you access to the tablets as well. Although he can't get the item, you can get some important intel, which is oftentimes just as good.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go out of the way to get that intel, though. Otherwise, like, it's the same reason you check the pedestal when you're there. Like, if you're at Skullwoods and have the mirror and the book, then you go and check the pedestal. But like going out of the way to do something like that, I don't know if it's worth the time.
Though once they get the hookshot or mirror, they could easily make a tablet check it. Ether tablet. Once they go to Hera.
Well, Zaf made it to phase 2 of of Helmasaur. Hopefully he can make it through here. I think he can absorb one hit without dying. Oh, there it goes. Down it goes. Second time's the charm. Got his revenge.
Speaking of hammering up, first of all, you have to be basically overlapping the sprite that you're hammering. Second of all, Helmasaur especially, you have to hammer up. Otherwise, you're going to get hit by his paws if you're trying to come at him horizontally. Another option, though, is using bombs. He does have 32, but he already got through it just fine. It does take a while.
I've never actually seen anybody do the bomb strats on Helmasaur. I think I'm honestly convinced it's a myth.
It does work for sure, but I think there's a speedrunner that does use a couple bombs and then finishes it off with a hammer.
Looks like Zaphid is heading up to Death Mountain here. I like this play a lot. There's a lot of items. I guess there's not a lot of items you can get to yet. Oh no, he has the mirror. Yeah, he can he can do Hera. Like, yeah, he can knock out all of the Light World Death Mountain here.
That's pretty much all he was waiting for, I think, was the mirror. Or hookshot.
I'm still wondering, where are the swords? We're almost 40 minutes in and neither runner has found a sword.
Just the hammer sword.
I think the record for how long a seed has gone swordless in this tournament is an hour and 30 minutes.
That sounds like fun, to be honest. I would like to see it like that.
I would like a seed like that, provided they gave me either a lot of hearts or a male upgrade early.
Yeah, true. And one thing I would love to see out of at least one of these players, which I know unfortunately I will not see, is going to be a spike cave early. They can totally do it with a fairy in a bottle. But who's going to want to do that?
Well, but they also do not have a net to catch a fairy in a bottle.
Right. And Oyster already used his fairy, actually, come to think of it. See, with the hearts they have, I guess they could buy a red potion. That might be enough.
Yeah, I think a red potion would be enough, but
Would
I
be enough for
highly
Oyster.
doubt we're going to see that.
But probably not for Zaphod. Yeah, we're most likely not going to see that because now in the logic they changed it recently, so it requires either the cane of Barney or the cape.
Cane of Barney, that's a new one. Oh no, Oyster went all the way to the big chest, and he hadn't found the big key yet.
Huh.
So he's going to have to go all the way through the maze twice.
Something missing. Big key?
Oh, and we have the Titan's Mitts up in
And
Tower
Silvers.
of Hera. Oh, yeah, that opens up the rest of Death Mountain, Dark World, and Light World, except for Hookshot Cave. But not having those boots is looking like it might come back to haunt Zaphod.
What do we have left to find? We gotta get Fire Rod. We gotta get Hookshot.
We need Fire Rod, we need Hookshot,
2 swords.
we need 2 swords, and we need the red cane.
And Flute for Meyer.
Oh yes, I forgot we haven't found Flute yet. I'm actually hoping for a vanilla Flute. Just a heart piece on the island. Nothing useful there.
Skyloft is one of my favorite spots.
Looks like Oyster took a death warp to refill his heart containers before going towards Helmasaur.
That floating island on Death Mountain kind of reminds me of that spot in the corner of Skyloft and Skyward Sword. Just like an island floating above a floating island.
Never really thought of it that way.
Although, interestingly, in this game, you get to it by going through a cave. I
always
know how.
thought that was kind of strange.
One of those perspective tricks.
Well, just like the location that Zaph is currently in, otherwise known as Paradox Cave, you go out of the top, and you come out in a lower location on the mountain.
I prefer to call it Septa Cave. I can kind of see how it could work as well, because all of the hills, all of the ledges in the game, they're not really above. Like, just outside this cave, there are a bunch of ledges that you can walk up on top of. So It's a very strange kind of dimension thing. Not quite 3 dimensions, but at the same time, kind of somewhat acts like it sometimes.
So here's the question. Where are the swords? Like, they're running out of locations that they haven't gone to yet.
Maybe someone ate them.
Hungry for swords, huh? We're keeping with the food theme, huh?
There's the boomerang that the Hash was alluding to. Maybe it's backwards. Maybe you got to take that boomerang to get a big key to get the mushroom.
I'm kind of surprised neither one of our runners has gone and turned in their fetch quest item.
Ooh. Chad is wanting the hookshot in Swamp Palace with 2 swords in there.
The hookshot doesn't even have to be the first chest in Swamp. Oh, we have found a sword, I believe. Yep, in Dark World Death Mountain, the Super Bunny Cave.
There we go.
46 minutes in, one of our players finally has a sword.
Better late than never.
I don't like 4 swords in Ganon's Tower. That is just cruel, very cruel.
And I guess that could have been the way in this seed with Fire. Well, not anymore because they got the sword, but with Skull Woods being a pendant, they don't need the sword until Ganon.
We did not get a Turtle Rock check, not that I saw. Like, I don't know if... Did you catch it,
I didn't.
Jagger? No? Like, it could be that he's just hoping he never has to go in there since it's a pendant, or that if he does, well, he already has 2 out of the 3 medallions, so he's got a 66% chance of having the medallion anyway. Now we have Zaf making his way into Skullwoods. It is completable, but I highly doubt he is going to complete it.
Nate in chat is informing us that it's Ether, which they don't have. And if that's true, we're gonna need quite a bit. We're gonna need that one more thing for Go Mode. It's definitely a ways off now.
No, he does not need Ether. He does not need to go into Turtle Rock for Go Mode.
Right.
Yeah, Turtle Rock is a pendant.
That always catches me off guard. I always assume it's required. I should have known since they have the Ice Rod, Turtle Rock wouldn't be required.
I mean, it very well could still be required.
Oh, true. And quite often is, in fact.
So for those of you that have just joined in relatively recently, we have a match here in the secondary tournament for Link Past Randomizer between OysterSA and Zaphid Beeblebrox. God, that's a hard name to say. Currently, the differences between our 2 runners are Zaphid has checked the entirety of Death Mountain, except for what he needs the hookshot or the boots to get to, whereas Oyster has gotten the boots. Like, I'm not really sure who is in the lead at this point. It is a very close race.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like we are going to get a quick high five from our players as they are in the exact same location.
Yeah, so Oyster's finished Blind's Hideout, whereas Zaphod is finished Tower of Hera, both of which are probably close to even in terms of quickness, shortness. I don't know. I think Thieves Town is a little longer, but not by much.
But in addition to doing Tower of Hera, Zaf had also routed the entirety of Death Mountain with that.
Very good point. It's really hard to say because even like if you factor in all the dungeons they did, if you factor in all the items they got, you also got to factor in how many overworld locations they've checked already. But that's a little difficult to track.
And we have found a fire rod. We are one step closer to go mode. It was in the King's Tomb.
Ooh.
Although, actually, now that I look at it, we didn't actually need that for go mode because we had Bombos to do Ice Palace. But it's definitely a lot faster to do it with the fire rod.
And depending on the if the big key in Ganon's tower happens to be right side, then the logic would require fire rod. Although you could do it with the lamp, it's not advisable.
I don't think you can. Isn't one of the lamps you have to light on the other side of a wall?
It's close enough to the. It's like a small railing, and it's close enough that you could just light it.
I suppose I've never tried.
Yeah. And with as close as, like, as tight timing as it is to get it with the fire rod, it's even tighter with the lamp for sure.
It looks like Oyster is making his way up to the Tower of Hera, most likely going to also route the rest of Death Mountain as well.
Has Oyster been to Sick Kid? He only has blue mail, doesn't he?
No, Oyster did not go to Sick Kid. Oyster got his blue mail in Thieves Town, which I'm guessing Zaf is going to go acquire the red mail shortly. So far, both of our runners have both made some excellent routing decisions, even though they have gone in different locations. Like, I can't find any reason to fault either of their logic in going where they were. Looks like the Ether Tablet is 10 shots with the bow. Good old arrow upgrade. Zaphod will have the advantage of going into Thieves Town with a sword, which will make blind much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully with the boots as well. That'll make Thieves Town in general much quicker.
Didn't we find the boots in Thieves Town?
It was in Dig Game, wasn't it?
Oh, that's right. So yeah, that's where Zaf's going afterwards. And it was around Thieves Town area. Yeah.
Looks like he's doing Thieves Town first, which is fine.
I would as well. Like, he can make it back up to finish, to go back into Thieves Town afterwards, but that's backtracking. So I think this is probably the correct routing decision from a routing standpoint.
Yeah, not knowing that boots are in Digging Game, for sure. It'll only save a few seconds, because you gotta make so many turns throughout the dungeon.
Oyster's going into Hera to pick up his silver arrows and his Titan's mitts. There's definitely no shame in going through the intended route to get to the big chest either. Like, the bomb jumps in general are not the easiest thing to execute.
And it's very dangerous in this palace, because if you fall down the hole, it takes you to the room below onto a pit, which takes you to the room below that. So, that's no bueno.
I'm honestly kind of disappointed to see silvers so early. I am always a fan of some hype silverless Ganon fights. And Oyster successfully hammers Moldorm into submission.
Yeah, in a way, I feel like not having the sword might have made sure it was a quicker fight. A lot of runners will opt to just use the whatever sword they have, and with just the fighter sword, you're pretty much guaranteed. Yeah, you're guaranteed to get the enraged mode unless you use the hammer on the second to last hit.
Yeah, a lot of runners prefer to use the sword there because it's safer. Like, if you are holding your sword out in front of you and tink off against Moldorm's head, as long as you are holding the opposite direction of the pit, you will not fall in, which is very helpful for newer runners as well.
Mm-hmm. And fun fact about his health, the way boss damages, the way damage to bosses works is it's based on a table that tells the game how much damage to deal per item. And in the case of Moldorm, Fighter Sword is equal to Master Sword. I believe it's 2 damage each hit. Whereas the Temper Sword, which shares damage with a hammer, is 4 per hit. And it only goes to enraged mode when it's down to 2 HP.
Yeah, like, I knew that was the case with, like, Mothula, because Mothula takes the same damage from the golden sword as from the tempered sword.
Yeah, although that was actually that's a randomizer thing. In the vanilla game, Mothula doesn't actually take damage from the gold sword at all for some reason.
It's because the golden sword does the same amount of damage as spikes do, and Mothula is coded to be immune to spikes.
I see.
Because if Mothula took damage from spikes, well, it would die very quickly, because there's a lot of spikes in that room.
That's probably why it has such low health, because you're gonna knock it into spikes all the time.
Ooh, it looks like Zaf has missed the scripted blind fight, so we're going at it. We're going at it live.
But with the sword.
The sword and the safety fairy in a bottle, like, yeah, should be a piece of cake, especially because he also now has the red mail.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think of these two players' sprite selections?
I'm a big fan of Metroid for sure. Although Luigi is pretty awesome in his own right.
Like, the main thing I need to do is I need to learn the sword like pixels for bomb jumps, so I can start using sprites other than Link. Zaf is working his way down to the digging game to acquire his boots.
And most players try to learn a visual cue for bomb jumps based on their shadow, because that's universal across all sprites.
Yeah, I think when I was learning the game in general, I learned all of the bomb jumps using the top of Link's hat for, like, the Ice Palace jump. So, like, it's been very hard to kick that habit.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect to start playing the game as a different character. there's no character selection in game.
It looks like Nate was correct. Turtle Rock is Ether. Ooh, we are gonna go get to see a chest in the Hookshot Cave that we did not see when Zaphod was up here.
Zaphod very happy to get those
And
boots.
oh, that is a very trolly location for the Hookshot. Inside Hookshot Cave.
Perfect for new runners. It's very possible for the logic to put them there, as you can see.
That is the only chest in the cave that the hookshot can be at by the logic. And I wouldn't be surprised if it takes Zaphod a long time to go back up there and get it.
Making sure to bomb it. Hopefully next time it'll have bombs instead.
But the good news for Zaphod is it is entirely possible the hookshot is not even will be required unless he knows how to hover Moldorm.
True. Yeah, it's always required by the logic, but some of the top players can do without.
It's not always easy to get either. We are turning in some fetch quest items here. Getting the magic bat. And finding the master sword. So we have found the second sword. Looks like Oyster is going to take his newly minted hookshot and check the Swamp Palace, which is a pendant dungeon, but he can finish it, so I definitely agree with this decision.
You know, something I wanted to mention, there's a slight peeve of mine when I watch other people playing Randomizer, and it kind of has to do with the bonking off of objects across pits. And I think it's because a lot of players don't know a little mechanic about what I call basically an advanced basic mechanic. Pretty much, you're able to turn while you're dashing, or while you're starting a dash. And I see a lot of players worried that they're going to pick up a pot or whatever that they're trying to bonk off of. But all you need to do is face parallel to the wall, like to the side of the wall, and like tap the dash button and tap to face the wall.
Yeah, you start the dash going one way, and then you can change it mid-dash to go the other way.
But it's something a lot of people probably don't know, because you can't actually turn after you take off, only as you're doing the little charge up.
And we have a vanilla flute.
Oh boy.
Jeez. Is this even randomized? I don't think it's actually randomized. This is like a vanilla game. We're running NMG now, guys.
Right? We had Bo in Eastern, didn't we? And we had something else that was close to vanilla.
The lamp in Sanctuary is close to vanilla.
Yeah.
But once again, Zaph has gotten something that's a little bit out of the way that I don't know if Oyster's going to go get, and that is the sword upgrade. And the flute, for that matter. He doesn't... Did he get... I thought he got the shovel in Death Mountain.
Did he not pick up the shovel?
I'm not seeing it on the tracker, but I thought that was in Death Mountain.
You don't happen to remember the cave?
No, Kova just forgot to mark it. That's fine. I was there like, I thought that's where it was. I wasn't actually watching Oyster go through Death Mountain.
Another safety bottle for Oyster in Swamp Palace.
Looks like Zaph is going to go check Aegina's cave. We know there is nothing there. My guess is from here, they're going to head into Desert Palace, since they have the book and
makes sense
there.
Well, I don't know. It might make more sense to activate Flute and then take the portal to Mire and then mirror into the back door.
Yeah, that actually does make more sense from a routing perspective. If he wouldn't have found the flute, I don't know, probably go in. But yeah, that does make a lot more sense. You get to check the Mire shed. You get to check the requirement for Mire.
And I personally just don't like watching the rock move like 3 times around the little square.
It's a nice break. You get to take a drink of water, and Zaphid has gone and got his fire rod outside of the King's Tomb, probably before heading to activate his flute. Might as well check the bonk rocks while he's at it. That definitely makes sense. Since you're already here, you might as well do what you haven't been able to do before, because you didn't have the boots when he was here last time.
Mm-hmm.
We have some nice menu strats coming from Oyster on Argus here, because I believe the fighter sword doesn't actually damage these puffs.
I believe that's correct, yes.
He's definitely racking up that menu timer, though.
Yeah. Even if he had Master Sword, it'd probably be about even time slash.
Yeah, probably about that. Like, with the Master Sword, you can collect 2 puff balls and then slash them both at the same time.
You could kind of do that with Hammer as well. But it's still difficult.
Ooh, and he needs to be careful here, having only 3 hearts left.
He does have looks like he has a red potion. Yep. Can take 4 fire rod shots and or hammer hits.
Well, he now has his first pendant, which actually makes me wonder, is there anything that can be on the pedestal with this?
Well, we've found everything.
Yeah, I don't believe so.
Between the
Like,
two
we haven't found the red cane, but red cane can't be on pedestal because T-Rock is a pendant.
Right, okay. Yeah, no. Nothing I mean it could be a tempered sword.
Yeah, that would be a useful thing, but I don't like that's definitely not a required upgrade.
It could be the net. How are they gonna be agging him?
And they do have access to Mire. Mire is Quake.
Okay.
Looks like Oyster's going to go back in and do the left side of Swamp. This is always a drag to have to do it. It's so long.
Yeah. And worse than pedestal would, well, not worse than pedestal, but next worst thing next to pedestal would probably be a vanilla cane in Mire.
I'd rather have that than pedestal, though. As a runner, as a viewer and a commentator, put everything on the pedestal. That's right where it belongs.
Yeah. How else are you gonna show it off?
We have found the bug net, and Zaphid is not validating his run by getting it. He's just going to leave it sit on top of that torch.
Oh. To be honest, though, you really don't wind up being able to use that net very often. Especially if you don't find powder, but he does have powder.
It is a very useful safety to have, though, especially later on in the game. Like, there's a lot of anti-fairies around to powder when you get into the likes of Mire and Turtle Rock and Gannis Tower.
But if you really want safeties, you're probably going to buy potions anyway.
All in all, they're probably more useful. And the last item from there is just a package of bombs. But he's going to go up and he's going to demolish Landmola with his Master Sword, Fire Rod, and Red Mail. And while this is going on, Oyster has finished up Swamp Palace.
Kind of good and bad. Unfortunately, it didn't pay off for him. As we know, he's got some digging to do.
Yep, he sure does. He's probably going to head that way now. It looks like he's heading his way back up through the Dark World to rescue the frog, and bring him the lunchbox, and do all of that stuff.
And he'll surely get the flute on the way there. Yeah, he's about to go there now.
And he is using a celebratory bombos to show his appreciation of finding the flute. And that reminds me, make sure you guys follow these runners. They are definitely putting on a show for us, bombing things, using unnecessary magic, because why not?
Yeah, the magic is half off this seed. Use it today.
Use it or lose it, right?
Mm-hmm. And then Molas is another instance where the fighter sword actually does the same damage as the master sword as well. But, of course, silver arrows and fire rod are much more effective.
That does honestly make sense, that because in the vanilla game you are not supposed to have be anywhere near the master sword when you are fighting those bosses.
Mm-hmm. Like all the light world bosses, pretty much they all take more damage from fighter sword. Armos being a very special case in which the fighter sword does more damage than the master sword. It does just as much as tempered.
Which I believe is still not very much.
Certainly not as much as arrows. Arrows are usually weaker, but in Armo's case, they're like super strong.
I recall you can also defeat the Armos Knights using, is it the red or the blue boomerang? I know one of them works. Boomerang. Oh, is either one of them? Yeah. I thought one of them did 0 damage and the other one did not a lot of damage, but more than 0.
Pretty sure the blue boomerang also works.
Yeah, the blue one is the one I know works, because I was watching somebody having to do that in an MG run once. But I'm not sure if the red one does.
What is it? 48 hits with the boomerang, I believe?
Yep.
But closer to 8 with the... It might be 16 with the fighter sword.
Oh, remember for that. He didn't have to do it, but I believe he had like a donation incentive to do it. He defeated Ice Armos using nothing but the boomerang.
There was an entrance shuffle seed during that tournament where someone did opt to do ice armors with the boomerang. He was a hero to everyone.
A hero or a waste or a time waster? That is the question.
What's the difference?
Tomato, tomato?
I mean, I wouldn't say wasted time.
He just made it so there was more time available to watch, right?
Exactly. Just like saving the animals in Super Metroid, you're not killing the frames, you're utilizing. But that's a sore subject for people, so I guess we'll steer away from that.
Well, so we are going to see if we have our vanilla red cane. Oh, there it is. Well, almost vanilla. It's in the big key chest.
Oh.
So with that, I believe Zaphod has entered Go mode, because he has the level 2 sword. Oyster will still need to find a sword.
He still needs to go up to Death Mountain Hookshot Cave.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, and I definitely don't think he'll be headed up that way. Oh, he might, because he can get into Turtle Rock now.
True. Like, how likely is Oyster to check Meyer for the... Oh, wow. Yeah, Hookshot is in Hookshot Cave. It's like Samaria Kane is in Samaria Cave.
Samaria Cave. I've never heard it referred to as that before, but I guess.
Well, it's a Hookshot in Hookshot Cave. It's gotta be.
But was the bow in Bow Cave then?
Sure.
Look, and Oyster is acquiring that bug net.
Flute in Flute Cave.
Everything is now a cave.
Ooh. Yeah, Zaphod. Forgetting you have to go 2 rooms away from the big key chest.
Yeah, it's not a thing that comes up very often.
Apparently, the way the game rooms work is that, even the smaller rooms you see, they're actually a quarter of the room size. And it just has transitions in the middle of it. So the room with the big chest is the same room as the one next to it. So the tiles won't come back if you go 1 room away, but...
Yeah, you need to go 2 rooms away to get on the other end of
the transition thing.
Some of the small things about this game, like that you never realize when you play it casually. But if you run something like this or speedrun the game, you're like, oh, well, that's kind of a pain in the butt.
Mm-hmm. Also, another minor thing, kind of a peeve of mine, that a lot of players don't quite know how to key dash, and the way that works, because it only works on certain pixels because of your dash speed, you can line it up in every instance that there is a key dash to do, just by either touching a wall or a pot or something across from the door, and just like I said with the bonking, you could just turn mid-dash to make sure you don't move horizontally, or don't move vertically at all.
Yeah, those 2 techniques are very interlinked. If you if you don't know the first one, it's a lot harder to do the key dashes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now we get to see where Zaphid goes here to try to find his hookshot. My guess is he's going to go into Swamp to see if it's vanilla, and then head over to Ice Palace.
Sense. Yeah.
And Oyster is making the call into Meyer without the red cane.
Ooh, that's very good.
Oh, Zaphid. I didn't realize Zaphid had both of the double-chested fairy crystals.
Nice. Yeah, one of them was in the light world. It must have been Lenmo's. What was I saying? Completely lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, I was gonna say that Oyster is gonna find his red cane, but unfortunately will not put him in go mode quite yet because he only has fighter sword.
Yeah, he will still need to find another sword.
Really unfortunate this late in the game. I mean, going through the later dungeons without a better sword.
Well, here's the question, though. Do you make the gamble that there is a sword in Ganon's tower?
It's very likely. I guess you would. And with
there are a lot of chests in Ganon's tower that could have that sword.
It hasn't been quite as bad with hoarding all the swords in Ganon's tower lately. Previous versions were pretty notorious for having at least 3 swords in there.
Yeah, the logic where every seed you got to do fighter sword cold stare and fighter sword vitreous. Shoot me now.
With arrows, they're a lot more easy to take down.
I don't even know if fighter sword can damage vitreous without at all.
Spins, only spins.
I think I'd rather use bombs.
I have seen, I believe it was an entrance shuffle match where it's like towards the end, like the higher level players, well, not even like the top tier players, but some players just had to do fighter sword vitreous. They had no available sword upgrades, and bow was on vitreous himself. It's a really cruel trick.
And that is the reason why I don't think I could ever do entrance shuffle. Like, I'm all for
it could happen in any of these.
I'm all for low percent strats, but that's a little ridiculous.
Well, the nice thing about entrance shuffle actually is that you can find Ganon's tower anywhere, which has 20 items in it, so that's always, well, that's very often going to be in the logic. You're going to get a few progression items in there, including swords. So in a way, I guess it makes entrance shuffle less difficult, but much more confusing for sure.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of the entrance shuffle tournament, and I couldn't follow it at all.
Oyster gets his cane and is just wondering where those swords are.
And we know where one of the swords is.
I wonder if he probably won't actually get it. He might just clear
not.
crystals.
My guess is from here he's going to head to Ice Palace as well, He will probably do a full clear on it, or at the very least just check the chests that are on the way to the boss.
We're about to see on Zaphod's screen whether or not there are swords in here. Wait a sec. Oh no. I thought for a second I was saying a red sword, but it's a red tunic with a blue sword.
Yeah.
Don't
I
mind me.
hope for Zaphod's sake that there is not a sword in here. Or if it is, it's very out of the way.
Well, this is the crystal, so...
Yeah, exactly. Like, the way that Zaphod gets back into this game is if Oyster has to hunt around for a sword.
Oh, you were saying that Zaphod should be hoping there's no sword in it.
Yeah, Zaphod should be hoping that wherever he's going, because that's most likely where Oyster's going to be going, that he does not find a sword, because he doesn't need another one. Like, right now, I give the edge to Oyster just because he is in pseudo-go mode, but that could change in an instant. If he dives into Ganon's tower without a sword, it's anybody's game.
Yeah. Although, even if he does find a sword in here, it is possible that Oyster having the Master Sword versus Zaphod having the Tempered Sword could save Zaphod some time. It's just
a
you gotta
possibility.
hope he finds. Yeah. He's gotta find that hook shot.
He's got to think that he needs to go up to the hookshot cave. But I have this strange feeling that that is the last place I look when I'm just looking for the hookshot. Because there's such a low probability chance of it being there.
Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of times you just dismiss it as a possibility because you think, well, it's Hookshot Cave. You don't want to go up there before Hookshot.
Looks like Oyster is going to continue the hunt for the sword. I'm guessing he's bringing the double-chested fairy, bringing the bomb in. Meanwhile, we get to see some Master Sword Cold Stare. But with half magic, this should be fairly simple because you can use the fire rod to just mow through those puffballs. Who needs a sword to fight Cotton Candy?
Is putting that book to use, I see. It's being reminded once again that he doesn't have Master Sword. Incidentally saving time by finding that out. Certainly faster not to get the item from the tablets.
Yeah, but still you're sitting there like, oh, yeah, I forgot.
At least he has plenty of bombs to bomb all the chests that don't have a sword.
That is true.
I just love how the duck on Oyster's screen flew off the right side into Zaphod's screen.
That was pretty cool.
The little things.
Yeah, Zaphod is going right. We'll see if he goes into Turtle Rock or if he goes back and checks the Hookshot Cave. I have the strange feeling he's going to dive into Turtle Rock, and that may cost enough time that could cost him this race.
Although, is he going into Turtle Rock or is he just opening it?
Oh, it looks like he might take a commanding lead here if he goes down into the Hookshot Cave. Because he already has all of the crystals. He can just go right into Ganon's Tower from here. And he is. Oh, that's big. He's like, wait. I'm guessing I can just see it going through his head. I can just go.
Man.
That is huge. Like I didn't think he was gonna check it, but that puts him in a large lead. And we have to guess some chest locations here in Ganon's Tower. It is that time. Personally, my favorite location to see it is the top of the torch. What do you think? Where is the big key going to be this time?
Well, I have a friend whose favorite number is 8, so I always go with that. And that usually means the fire bar room. And it usually turns out wrong. But I guess a 1 in 22 chance. Each one is going to be wrong.
Well, we can see if he will go right side. It looks like he is. He is going right side because he found a small key. I believe that is like the normal strat that a lot of people have been running in this version.
Interesting.
Like, I think the way that Oyster gets back into this here is if it's in the tile room and that is the first place he goes. But he also still needs to find a sword. So I don't know. This is going to be interesting. We know there is no sword in Ice Palace.
Is there one in GT? Stay tuned to find out.
I believe Powder was in Thieves Town? Or was an overworld location?
I actually totally forget.
No, it wasn't in Thieves Town. It was somewhere that was far away from the bat.
It wasn't Pod, was it? It might have been Pod.
I can't think of it. Yeah, but Kova is right. That's what's locking him out of the sword.
Wasn't Sword in Purple Chest?
No, sword was not in Purple Chest. The sword was in the Magic Bat.
Bat? Huh.
Yeah, swords were at Magic Bat and King's Tomb.
King's Tomb is Fire Rod.
Yeah. Oh, keeps doing his fire rod. Where was the other sword? Oh man, my brain is just so many item locations to keep track of.
Oh, Death Mountain.
That's right.
Super Bunny Cave, right?
Yep. And so far, we have not found a sword in Ganon's tower either. It's also looking more and more likely that we have a tile room check coming up here. Oyster is doing the cold stare fight, also burning these puff balls to a crisp with the fire rod.
I'm hoping if Oyster does come up here without the Master Sword, maybe he'll check Big Chest for a sword.
Yeah, that is not a chest you see very often in open or standard mode. But it could potentially hold a sword.
Yeah, this last puffball with fighter sword. That's what it comes down to now. Oh, 17 chests down, 5 to go.
The odds get better and better that it's in the tile room the longer we go.
Test is.
Yeah, Oyster does not feel comfortable diving into Ganon's tower without a sword. But I'm not sure what all he hasn't checked yet. I thought did he not return the bomb to... I thought he already bombed the ferry. I thought they both did.
He went somewhere else. Like, he went up to the portal. I don't remember where he went, actually.
Oh.
Oh, he went down to check Bombo's tablet. I went to the Dark World last time. Was that Vanilla Big Key?
I believe it was.
Jeez. We've had enough vanilla this run. Is there gonna be a vanilla Master Sword as well?
Sword in the pedestal? Oh, that would be epic. I don't think I've ever seen anybody pull the pedestal and pull out the actual Master Sword in Randomizer. I have once seen them pull out the Fighter Sword.
Really? Wow.
That was in, that nice logic that put all the swords in Ganon's tower? Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Looks like Oyster is checking the back of Escape, maybe? No, maybe not. He's trying to figure out where he can go to find a sword. Looks like he might be making the gamble to say they're probably all in GT.
Oh, Powder was in Escape, that's right. Wasn't it?
I don't think so.
I don't think Oyster went into the basement of the castle.
Oh yeah, that's right. Zaphod is breezing his way through the gauntlet, about to enter the Land Molus 2. 1 silver arrow each will end this boss. Oh, just missed the 1 cycle.
so difficult because of the travel time with the arrows.
Oh, Oyster is diving into Turtle Rock looking for a sword.
That makes sense.
Or nope, he is going. No, he was just opening it up just in case he needs to go back there later. If he needs to go, like, because he can
Okay.
finish Aghanim 2 and then head back up to hunt for a sword if he absolutely has to.
Hopefully, we'll be seeing Zaphod checking these chests. Like after the gauntlet.
It is definitely a scary feeling entering into Ganon's tower without having a sword. Well, just having the fighter sword, because you know you cannot finish the game. Oh, there is the tempered sword. So Oyster will find a second sword here.
That's a relief. Well, that's gonna be a relief. Well, it's kind of a relief. Will mean Zaphod will have a faster Ganon fight.
Means Zaphod will have a faster Ganon fight, and Oyster will be able to actually fight Ganon.
Yeah.
Two spins takes down Moldorm 2, and we'll see if he validates his run. I'm pretty sure Oyster is going to bomb the chest. Oh, we got this nice compass.
So Oyster doing left side here. He's gonna find the big key in behind the Armos. Do you think he'll do right side as well?
I know that I would if I were him. Like, we know that he shouldn't, that he should just go straight up and he will find a second sword. But that is a very rough gamble to make.
Even if he does do right side, I hope he goes to check the big chest on the way, because it's actually surprisingly close to, well, I guess you would have to mirror, you would want to mirror and be a little faster. Or is it? Actually, I think it's only 2 rooms away. Thinking face.
I don't know. My knowledge of obscure routes around Ganon's Tower is a little limited. Well, as we're winding down to the end of this race, feel free to give both of these runners a follow. And if you need more Randomizer in your life, we have plenty of matches between the main and the secondary tournament taking place for multiple months on Speed Gaming 1 through 4 and Randomizer Mania 1 through 4. Like, after we are done here, there is another match going on one of the other Randomizer Mania channels, as well as a main tournament match between... it's a 4-way match between High Cutie Pie and TGH, and Solski versus Zyrak over on Speed Gaming 1.
Gosh, this is still a pretty good time for this seed, considering how trolly it was with Hookshot and Hookshot Cave, Kanan Meyer, Bow in the Eastern, Flute in... Well, I guess you typically check the dig spot anyway, but so many items you wouldn't find if you're trying to play it safe.
Yeah, so many items you wouldn't find if all you did was dive into dungeons that you could complete.
And then mirror and pod as well is a tough one. It's a tough call.
We have Zaphod has finished here.
Unfortunately, I don't have the SRL time up, but it's roughly 144.44-ish.
I had the SRL window up, but it disconnected me, so I don't have it up anymore either.
Whoops. Oyster continuing on, making his way up the gauntlet. It's pretty much through the hard part of the. Oh no, he just went up the.
That is not good. Kova is saying that he might not be connected to chat to SRL either.
Well, we typically use SRL timing. I'm guessing due to difficulties, they might make an exception here.
They might. For his sake, I hope they do. It looks like he just checked out of of the IRC as well. I'm guessing he's going to reconnect in and hopefully type his .done. Because that would be a very sad way to lose a match. I just joined into the it let me back into the IRC channel, so
okay. It's good. That's a good sign.
yeah, I was trying to go in there to see if he wanted to come in for a winner's interview, but if he's not in here, I cannot ask that question.
Happen to know his Discord name? Maybe we could type Discord.
Well, I'm sure right now, I could ping him on Discord, but I'm sure he's trying to get back into the IRC chat so he can .done.
Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt that so he can finish his race. Well, meanwhile, we have Oyster here, who is working his way through here, not knowing whether or not he's going to find a sword up there. That is one heck of a gamble to make, going in here without a sword.
Mm-hmm. It's a call you gotta make sometimes.
And he's about to heave a huge sigh of relief when he opens the second chest here and finds the Master Sword.
Yep. Take that chest.
But yeah, Safford, we obviously have the proof that you won this race, so I think it should be fine.
Pixar didn't happen.
Or you could attempt to rejoin the IRC channel. Oh, and Oyster takes a fall to Moldorm too. This is not the easiest fight to execute with just a Master Sword. The awkward shape of the platform is kind of trolly. Let's see if he if he decides to bomb this chest. Nope. Because he doesn't know that this race is over and done with because he hasn't seen a dot done.
Never before have I seen the last thing for Go Mode needing to connect to IRC. Unfortunately, Zaphod doesn't have a mic, so he won't be joining the for an interview.
But this was definitely a very interesting seed. The swords, I'm still wondering where the last sword was. I kind of do hope it was on the pedestal.
I didn't notice. Did he check the big chest?
I don't believe so.
Ah, that's where it was.
Now we have Oyster hopping into the final fight here, armed with 2 heart pieces, a master sword, red mail, and silver arrows. Oh, it looks like he's going to go collect the fairy because 2 heart pieces is not a lot.
You know, I would have opted to just hug Ganon first and then get the fairy.
I agree. Oh, he might be going sword hunting. Either there, he might just go buy potions. Yeah, just potions. I don't blame him there. Master Sword Ganon is no easy task. Fill up on the magic, and yeah, because the nice thing about having, at least he has the magical cape, that will make this a lot simpler, because you can use the magical cape and still charge a spin attack, which is the only thing that will hurt Ganon if you have the Master Sword. Have to spin him down a lot of times. I think it's 12 times in the first phase, or no, 24 times in the first phase, and 24 more in the second phase. I believe that's correct.
Is it?
It might be 12. 12 and
I think
24.
it's 12, yeah. 12, 4, and 24. That's right.
He's getting some decent patterns from Ganon. Ganon is staying close to the wall, where if he wanted to, he could come up and get 2 hits off of a single spin.
And with the 2 blue potions, that makes the cape strats really handy.
But I understand it's very scary to go that close, that nearby to Ganon, especially when he is flinging this trident around.
Mm. Couple more hits for first phase and it should be done. I think the Fire Bat's phase is probably considerably easier because he has the cape.
Yeah, the cape makes this infinitely easier.
And also with the red mail, he doesn't have to worry about damage once he gets out of the cape either. At least it doesn't have to worry much. Getting those double spins from inside Ganon. Here we go, phase 3.
Now all is required is some silver arrows.
And a bit of fire rotting as well.
Oyster is going to be through the moon with thinking that he has finished in first place. I don't know how this is going to end up. But Oyster has finished with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 58 minutes, and 20 seconds.
So congrats to Oyster on that. Almost technically first place. It's unfortunate that Zapod came in next to last. That was fun though. That was certainly an interesting seed. getting fire right off the bat.
Yes, this is it was definitely an interesting seed for sure.
Delaying going up the mountain for so long because the mirror was in Pod, of all places.
But this was definitely a very interesting seed.
I wonder how they felt when they saw each of those items and, well, all of those items in those trolley locations.
That hook shot, I still can't get over that location for the hook shot. That is, like, I've seen it there incredibly rarely.
I'm sure Zaphod felt incredibly lucky to find Samaria and Meyer. Oyster probably felt really lucky to find
Is there anyone in my chat?
Hookshot Cave.
I mean, I see 2 people. Actually, I have Chrome open, so it might just be 1 person.
It all came down to who was lucky faster.
What was in the escape? That was the powder, correct?
Powder. And that led to the sword at the back.
Yep, and the vampire skewers sleep again, forever and ever and ever.
Wait, what is the vampire skewer? Is that a sword? Or is that...
arrows, I believe.
Oh, regular arrows? Huh.
Well, I believe that may be all we have here. I'm going to see if Oyster wants to do an interview.
So what else do we have on the schedule?
On the schedule today, we have that race, that 4-way race on Speed Gaming 1 that I was talking about earlier, and I believe there is currently something on one of the other Randomizer Mania channels. I'm not sure if it actually got a restream though, but there is a race today between Quostin and Lord Monty 4 that may already have ended, however. It looks like we will be pulling Oyster down for a quick interview afterwards. He is interested.
Okay.
Oh, Jesus. I didn't see my bonks. Oh, 504 menu time. That's not bad, though.
Yeah, he is in the waiting room, so we'll get him dragged in.
Yep, I just asked Tater to drag him down in. There he goes. Hello, Oyster. So what did you think of that seed? It was definitely interesting going that long without a sword.
Now that I know what's an escape, it's a little embarrassing.
I understand not wanting to go back. It's kind of out of the way.
Yeah. I will say that's the first time I've ever hit go mode, like 4 chests from the end of the game.
Yeah.
It's definitely got to be scary going into Ganon's tower without the Master Sword.
I was having flashbacks to V21. I had a couple of runs that were like that. So I was a little less scared of Cold Stare because I actually had red mail and not green. But Hookshot and Hookshot Cave definitely threw me for a loop.
Yeah, like, I was honestly really surprised. Zaphod looked like he was going to be going... That's what he needed to be in go mode, was the hook shot. And it looked like he was going to dive into Turtle Rock to find it. And then he turned around and is like, well, we're going to check this one chest that's right here, just in case.
Yeah, I think a lot of my undoing was doing dungeons I didn't need to. The 2 in Skull Woods. Although in V26, I'm very impressed that Skull Woods didn't have an item. And then doing all of Swamp was completely unnecessary.
Yeah, all of Swamp was just completely unnecessary. I don't think Zaphod actually even went in there. Like, he did do Skullwoods, he went in there as well.
He did get that fairy
The 2 chests were pretty right there.
Yeah, it's just right there. He's hopping. It's in the front half. You didn't have to go around.
Exactly. But yeah, that was fun. I learned a lot. I was really holding out hope for Mushroom because I just learned about fake magic powder and I just did it for the first time in the last Open Weekly 2 days ago. And I think it's really cool and it's neat and it's new and it's shiny and I was really sad I didn't get to do it, but oh well.
Yeah, that is definitely one of my favorite tricks that have been discovered recently in the randomizer is that.
Right. Exactly. Like this game has been out for God knows how long. I don't even want to count how many years because I'm old. And now the randomizer is leading to new things like that. Unfortunately, that I didn't get to do it this race, but hey, I got another one coming up on Sunday, so I'll try that.
So how many of the races in your group have you done? Is this the first one for you?
This is the second one. I raced Kevin on SNES Classic launch day last Friday.
Okay, yeah. How did that one go for you?
I lost that one. I really just wanted to get back to playing Star Fox 2.
Priorities, right?
Also new and shiny.
So how did you feel about those item placements? The mirror and pod, hookshot and hookshot cave. Pretty much vanilla.
I think I demonstrated how I felt about those as I was playing. You know, treat the flute to a good dose of bombos. Got to sterilize that after being dug up.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, oh, just gotta, Got to show off here. Use some magic. I found it. It's there.
Send up a
that
flare,
was me
let
being
everyone know.
frustrated. But yes, sure, that works too.
Oh, I thought it was a bombos of happiness, not of frustration.
I don't expect a randomizer item to be in a vanilla location ever.
It was
And
so
we
And
had-
also, Uncle, having the gloves, and I just didn't check it for the longest time after Zora, I think.
Yeah, that was fairly large. Like, you found the boots, I believe you found the boots a decent amount before Zappa did the dig game.
Right. I ended up in Dark World pretty quick, I think. Because I had the hammer. I don't even remember where I got the hammer, but it was there.
Yeah, the hammer was an escape in the back of the escape.
Right. Okay. Yeah, so I'm all jittery, and like I have to be up in the morning to go to work, and I'm not going to sleep. So hey, cool.
Nobody needs to sleep anyway.
Feeling it.
Definitely an entertaining race.
Well, that's good. My race against Kevin wasn't restreamed, so I'm glad my first time on a restream was entertaining.
It's my first day too. Yeah.
It's okay. I
We're in it
lost my
together.
first restream in a spectacular fashion. I forgot to check Bumper Cave.
Ouch. Now I will say, since Zaphod had timed out of IRC, I thought like my find of the hook shot was going to put me decently ahead, and I was real happy when I found the Master Sword on the way up Ganon's Tower. And then
It really
hey,
did.
I didn't.
I believe you were first. Well, minus the sword, you were first into go mode.
You were the first person to enter the pseudo go mode that is having all of the items but not having a sword.
It's just that he had already done all the crystal dungeons without the hook shot.
That makes sense. And then spending a lot of time in Swamp, yeah. That was my first Master Sword Ganon, actually. So that was exciting.
You did it very well. Like the only thing that I have to say is if Ganon is close to the wall, you can just go up to the side of him, in between him and the wall, and you will get 2 hits on each spin, which will cut down the time significantly.
Right. I tried to do that. I ended up getting impaled by the trident a couple of times, and then when you went fire bat phase, I did it with the cape.
Yeah, the cape makes that much easier because you can still spin.
Half magic and 2 blue potions.
That is exactly why I went and got 2 blue potions, yes.
Yeah, half magic, 2 blue potions, red mail. Yeah, all of the safety you could possibly want.
Yeah, I was gonna play that safe just because it was my first time doing it. That I was really impressed with my menu time as well. I did not see how many bonks I had, but I can always rewind for that.
Yeah, I was also honestly not paying that much attention to bonks and menu time.
My menu time was 5 minutes 2 seconds, which for me is very good.
Oh yeah, you also did hammer against Argus, didn't you?
Yeah, because I did Argus when I didn't need to.
So that's your menu time is basically like a minute faster.
Yeah, that adds at least a minute of menu time doing hammer Argus.
I didn't even consider that. Wow.
Like 30 seconds.
All right, I'm down with that.
From my experience,
you thought.
From my experience, a good menu time to shoot for is like 1.5 to 2 minutes per hour the seed takes.
Okay, I hadn't considered that. I usually just shoot for sub 5. But that makes a lot of sense.
And you had something to say, Jagger?
No, just congrats on the run. I guess we should probably let you sleep eventually.
Right. It was fun. I got 2 more races left. The next one's Sunday against the person who's not Lunchbox. Who's the person in my group that's not Lunchbox? Vascos. That's who it's up against.
Cool.
I do have a wedding to go to on Saturday, so we will see what kind of shape I'm in.
Enjoy.
Well, I believe that's all we have here. Like right now, it looks like there is another race still going on Speed Gaming 1. If you need more Randomizer, there will be plenty of Randomizer going along. Be sure to follow Speed Gaming 1 through 4 and Randomizer Mania 1 through 4. I'm pretty sure we're going all day, every day almost, except for in the middle of the night in the US when there isn't as many matches scheduled.
I'm heading to Speed Gaming 1. Thanks for the restream.
All right. See y'all.